But before you know, sir, Senator Natasha shouted my name all over the place. I'm sure my name is in the media for negative reason today.
You said something just now that I was taken aback, ma. You said it is you feel disappointed that Natasha came out to air appointment. So is it that when a woman is sexually harassed, as she claims, she should keep quiet? Misogyny should continue?
No, I don't.
That women should not speak up? Nobody should talk? Because she has won election, she's in Senate now?
You have passed that. By the time you contest election and get to Senate, you understand? You have passed that. You know, you have passed that stage of your life of being sexually harassed.
Really?
So yes, by the time
I did make some statements. And I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the president of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition.
You may proceed.
That the petition she presented today is actually dead on arrival. And I say that because...
Hello everybody, welcome back to Plan B TV News. Now, have you guys heard the full scale of investigation regarding to Senator Natasha and the Senate President? Over the time, after Senator Akpabio's wife came out to defend her husband, a lot of things have played out and a lot of videos, a lot of interviews. I was unable to lay hands on none of them, but what I will be doing in this particular video, and I just want you guys to bear with me. I might not be able to analyze all, but I will be bringing all videos together so that we all watch it. And at the end of the day, I just want you guys to go to the comment section and comment your thoughts. But first of all, I want you guys to watch how Senator Natasha came to submit her own petition against the Senate President, and how the Senate President also received the petition. We'll be right back.
In my name, against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions. You may recall, sir, that on Friday in Arise TV, I did make some statements. And I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the President of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition.
You may proceed. Distinguished colleagues, this petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Code of Conduct, Ethics and Public Petitions to revert to the Senate as soon as practicable.
Petition.
Any other petition? Yes.
Immediately after this particular petition was submitted, I thought that in Nigeria, a country where constitution work, and there will be a plenary of investigation and a panel to investigate those issues. But do you know what they said? That is the height of corruption in the country. They said that this petition was dead upon arrival because they're not going to investigate Senator Akpabio. When I heard that word, I said, is this even a country? I want you guys to watch the panel that were set to investigate this issue, how they reacted to the petition. We'll be right back.
That the petition she presented today is actually dead on arrival. And I say that because it runs contrary to Order 40, subsection 4, that is, no senator may present to the Senate a petition signed by him or herself. And that petition, having been signed by her, will not be entertained by this committee. And so, ladies and gentlemen, she's not here. Now I can understand why she's not here. She's probably not here on the order of her lawyers. That being the case, the committee will sit and we will deliberate on what we've gotten from distinguished senators that have presented their cases before us and the senator at arms, and based on our rule books and all other documents that is available to us, to make a decision here and then make a referral to the full Senate.
You will thought that, okay, this is the end of it. There are other women coming out right now to defend the Senate president, and that did not sit well with a lot of Nigerians. And I want you guys to watch this particular video of Arise TV News on how this lady went on Arise TV News to say, I don't believe Senator Natasha, because we are all equal in the Senate House. Nobody can harass you in the Senate House. If maybe it is before or after, and why is Senator Natasha did not cry there? Why is he not crying out now? People say, na person mama be this. I want you guys to watch the video. We'll be right back.
You said something just now that I was taken aback, ma. You said you feel disappointed that Natasha came out to air a point of. So is it that when a woman is sexually harassed, as she claims, she should keep quiet? Misogyny should continue?
No, I don't.
That women should not speak up? Nobody should talk because she has won election, she's in Senate now?
You have passed that. But by the time you contest election and get to Senate, you understand? Yeah. You have passed that. You have passed that stage of your life of being sexually harassed.
Really?
So yes, by the time you go there and start, you have passed that. You go there, so you are all equal in that Senate.
So, really? So yes, if somebody
you are all equal, it's out of order. And again, it shows weakness. You don't allow it.
So is it a show of weakness for a woman to speak out?
It cannot happen in the Senate.
Really?
I'm not saying that the lady is lying. I'm not done. But again, my dear, when you get to Senate, you are there as a person. You are not there as a man or woman. You are there as a person. It doesn't matter what you are carrying between
but she's
whatever.
Complaining that there's no equality. You are there.
And then, mind you,
she's complaining about.
I don't think at this stage of. I respect that girl. I like her. She's very intelligent, very very well spoken. You understand? But I do not think that the person you call sir, because first of all, if you call somebody sir, then you are giving the person a cane to whip you.
Reactions have trailed comments made by Senator Florence Ita-Giwa right here on Arise News after she faulted Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduahan's sexual harassment claim, saying that once women become senators, they can't be sexually harassed. One of the reactions was a 2018 video of award-winning writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, where she talked about how gender roles are assigned and continue to be perpetuated. Let's take a look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
I find it quite infuriating to hear people, men and women, who respond to a woman's story of harassment with questions like, why is she coming out now? Why didn't she report it right away? I knew that the world did not give to women the same dignity that it gave to men. I was aware of how much the socialization of women was focused on men. Don't wear a miniskirt so that men will not rape you. We should change laws that diminish women, but changing mindsets is even more important. We should enact policy that supports women, but changing cultural attitudes is even more important.
Why did we teach girls to aspire to marriage, but we didn't teach boys to aspire to marriage? So a man would be called confident, but a woman would be called arrogant. A man would be strategic, a woman would be manipulative. A man would be a leader, a woman would be controlling. The behavior is the same. What is different is the body exhibiting that behavior. So I began to see that when people judged a woman for being aggressive or ambitious or annoying, it really wasn't the qualities of ambition or aggression that they were judging. It was actually women that were being judged.
Absolutely on point. I thought it was important to highlight that absolute remarkable comment from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie on the role of gender and gender inequality, how it plays in women in politics as well. Rufai.
I said the exact same thing, if you remember, here yesterday, that I'm not surprised that it is another woman that will come and berate a woman for speaking out. because society has so much programmed them. It's always the woman that takes the fall in society. She's always the one not behaving well in the marriage. She's always the one there's something wrong with. She can never be right in all of this. This case has happened now. Nobody's calling for investigation. A senator came here and said, why was she following the Senate president on a tour? And you know, that was a calculated attempt to be able to twist Natasha's own side of the story. So it's a cultural thing. And a lot of women that support this aberration don't know they are victims of society already. So they've twisted their mindsets. And that's why you hear what she said yesterday, that even if you're high up there, you can't be, that once you get to the Senate, you can't be sexually abused or you can't be sexually harassed. So it also goes back to the point of, some people argue that things like affirmative action, put some seats, is good. But I think it's tokenism. Except we get to the point where we can have a cultural shift that can really accept women as very viable players in the grand scheme of things in society, we have not arrived. So we can do tokenism from today till tomorrow. And that's why I keep saying Rwanda might not be a good example, but I give kudos to them for what they did, how they were able to bring women into the polity. We need to impress upon that culture.
Absolutely.
How do people change culture? Thomas Isodore Noel Sankara in the 70s, in the 80s, when he took over Burkina Faso, there was also that problem. But he enforced it by ensuring that there were days where the men went to do shopping for the women. There were days where women's rights were respected. There were days where women too also held positions. We need to deliberately work at changing that culture of misogyny and making the one man ahead and denigrating women if we want to move the society forward.
Ayo, very quickly, thank you so much for sharing that video by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, forever speaking on behalf of women and speaking the realities of women. And I'm glad that there's a voice, a female voice, who's also telling the reality of a lot of women about how every time you hear, many times when you hear about sexual harassment, the first thing is, what did you do?
Yes.
So as if to make it seem that the woman must be complicit for the reason why she was. It's not in all cases. Then to the seats where the Senate president, first of all, the wife of the president, is asking that one seat is created in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, making a total of 74 in the House. I think beyond the seats, as we've seen in the last few days, it's not just about beyond the seats, it's the kind of women that are elected into those positions that matter even more than creating those seats.
Dr.
Very quickly on gender policy. In 1995, there was the Beijing conference. Arising from the Convention against for the elimination of discrimination against women, CEDAW. We had Beijing +5, we had Beijing +10. There was also the Maputo Protocol. All of that about centering women properly in the political decision-making process across the world. Nigeria participated in all of those processes, but Nigeria is far behind. Now, Nigeria's population, 50% women, but in terms of political representation, the National Assembly today, we have less than 4% of Nigerian women in that place. Politicians have said, we will give women opportunities and all that, but what dominates is a patriarchal system.
Yes.
Now, a few years back, I think in 2020 or so, Nigeria came up with a national gender policy. That national gender policy talks about 35% affirmative action for Nigerian women.
Absolutely.
Now they've not, implemented it. Nigerian women have had to go to court. That case is hanging somewhere in the Court of Appeal. Dr. Akiode Afolabi and others, pursuing it, saying the national gender policy of Nigeria must be implemented. Now this the new thing that the lawmakers are bringing. They say they want affirmative action. Well, good idea, but a gender policy already exists in this country. And we have countries like Senegal that has a 50-50 policy. We have a country like Rwanda that has a 30% policy. Other countries that have achieved up to 42.7%. Why is Nigeria far behind?
That's the major
This is
question.
an issue that we have to address. And that's why in politics, patriarchy, dissenters Nigerian women. And it's unfortunate that that is the case.
Absolutely. I mean, well said, you all. I'd like to thank you really for, adding your voice to this sort of, conversation. And especially kudos to our First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and of course, Godswill Akpabio, who has also backed that bill. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow. Welcome back, Dr. Ruben Abati.
Thank you.
It gets more interesting, and I thank God on how Arise TV News treated this whole case. Ojiokbe, Ruben Abati, and Rufai Oseni, all of them came together and decided to also troop in their own opinion regarding to how that lady spoke or defend Senator Akpabio. And I want you guys to watch the video. We'll be right back.
I did not watch Senator Ita-Giwa's interview, a woman that I actually respect. Yes. But with what you have said now, I am quite disappointed at some of the measures that you've just reeled out. I'd like for you to just, no, you can't give me advice. Just reel out what exactly.
I was giving you suggestions on how to avoid sexual harassment.
How can you
be more confident?
Wait, was that what
That's what she said. Because I asked her, because I said that was a revelation, because she needed to teach us a lot more about how not to be sexually harassed. And one of the things was that you have to be more confident.
You have to be more confident?
Yes, as a woman.
Wow.
So it's lack of confidence if you're sexually harassed. Number two is that you also have to be unapproachable.
Okay.
If you are too approachable, men will, and that's on you. And then, of course, it's weakness to come on air and come and talk about episodes, especially at a certain level. I don't know about you, but personally, I don't think a woman ever grows out of it, whereby men or women, we keep focusing on women, but when it comes to discrimination, it happens both ways. It's just that women face it a bit more, especially in this part of the world that we are. And the danger with narratives like that, like I was sharing behind the scenes, is that whenever a case like this is brought up, the first thing that usually comes up is, what did the woman do? We must kill that narrative in Nigeria, because that is what perpetuates this a lot, because it's always that a woman must have done something to attract that kind of attention or attract that kind of discrimination. Yes. I think it's very sad if we continue that narrative, because we'll continue to absolve the people who ought to take responsibility for their actions. All right,
I was going to start the show in Lagos, but because we're talking about this issue and we're seeing that it's women that are coming out to trivialize sexual harassment, because this is exactly what it means. If you're sexually harassed, please, it is no woman's fault. You cannot be blamed for being sexually harassed. I mean, you look beautiful, you're sexually harassed. You did not create yourself. And it's not lack of confidence that causes sexual harassment. It is a thing out there, and it is unfair and unfortunate that at this time in our system, society, where 2025, we're talking about women not being able to come out and talk about sexual harassment. Well, I'd like to take the story in Kenya so that we can discuss everything together. Good morning to you, viewers. Well, in the wake of the feud between Senate President Godswill Akpabio and the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti over allegations of sexual harassment, the role of young women in politics and gender disparity in African politics has now become a topic of debate. Well, a 2024 video showing Kenyan legislator Mile Odhiambo, who has established herself as one of the country's most outspoken politicians, advising young women to be as fiery as she is, has resurfaced online. Well, let's take a look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to start by saying that one of my favorite books is Good Girls Never Get the Corner Office. Mr. Speaker, this is in response to what you are telling me earlier in the morning when you are urging me to be a good example to the girls, the younger ones who are doing their first term. Mr. Speaker, if they are good girls, they'll never get corner office. Be as bad as Millie Odhiambo, you will be the mother of this house. I am a bad girl, and as a bad girl, I'm here serving my 4th term. So do not be cheated like the African culture where you are told have decorum, dress nicely, be kind, be nice. I'm telling you, you will go nowhere. Be a bad girl like me and you'll get somewhere.
Well, I don't think she means literally be a bad girl. I mean, but basically that, she said, was her favorite book. Yeah. Good girls don't get the corner office, meaning you have to stand your ground as a woman. A quick comment from you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you have to stand your ground. I think what the speaker there was talking about is about being tough, not being bad in reality.
Yes,
I think for every situation of harassment, oppression, or discrimination, we should be able to truly condemn what is bad. What is bad is anybody in this world, either because of gender, either because of race, religion, or ethnicity, is trying to discriminate or oppress somebody else, is a bad thing.
Absolutely.
I think men who rape, I think men who use their power, who try to use their money, not to seduce or lure, but to extort and constrain other people, are weak men. I call them boys who did not do boyhood when they were boys. They fall into money and power at an age in their life, and they've never charmed women. They've never persuaded, they've never convinced people with their wit, with their oratory, with their knowledge, or with their physique. They've not done sport. They were not clapped to have young people. So when they get to a stage in their life, when they have power, money, they think they can buy people. But it is also important for us, however, to share the responsibility around. I stand with women of substance. I stand with women who are who they are, what they are, because of what they can bring to the table. I have seen many times in my life where some women use the feminine card to get what they do not deserve, to the detriment of other women. And I think anytime we talk about serious things like sexual harassment, it is important not to simplify. It is important to go for the facts, followed by logic, and allow for space of dissident voices, and allow for space of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, and mischief. It is important that we understand that if you are for the truth, you will know the truth is always nuanced.
Absolutely. Basically, it's about standing your ground as a woman in Africa. In politics, I mean, in Kenya, we are seeing more representation of women in politics. And this is what we're advocating for here on the show. Rufai, a quick comment from you.
You see, I'm not surprised that a lot of women are coming to pull down, this movement to be able to amplify when you're sexually harassed. Who will men use against women before? It is fellow women that men will use. So I'm not surprised. Because the hegemony of society has always been wrapped around men. It is a man's world. Songs like that and everything. So, also, in part of that mentality, a lot of women have been indoctrinated with the mentality of subservience to men. So they will spew narratives like, if a man makes a pass at you, you cost it. It's a deliberate societal attempt. And it is women that will enunciate this. And especially, some women will feel upset when they see another woman standing up for herself. Because the truth is, in a society that is male-dominated, for you as a woman to understand the preservation of self, it's a difficult thing. You are constantly told that you are not successful unless you end up in a man's house.
Unfortunate.
Society gives you everything. You go to church, once you are over 30, they are saying, pray for husband.
Right.
A man is beating you in a relationship, they are saying, for better, for worse. But the men can have multiple partners. So I am not surprised. It's part of the indoctrination of society. And that's why people will say that, oh, it's you that you cannot handle it properly.
Unfortunately.
Not trying to address the issue of a randy man that cannot keep his thing in his thing.
His thing in his thing. All right, Rufai,
so
before
the truth has to be said, Oji. I am not surprised. It is the way society has evolved. But for those that do that, they should not forget that historically, Africa has always had stronger women in society. There are generations, there are African races that the likes of Ablapoku led.
All right.
So we must be able to magnify that Africa originally was not a misogynistic society. Amina of Zaria.
Queen Amina of Zaria, she's one of the women I respect,
they held positions. So the attempt of women to support the misogyny against women now is a problematic streak of mentality we must change. And that's why we should be weary of people that are now preaching this macho mentality. People like Andrew Tate online, because there's a resurgence of people like that, and they're subjugating women.
All right. Well said, you all. Thank you very much for your submissions. And again, we need more women in politics, especially here in Africa. Again, sexual harassment is not a woman's fault.
Now, it didn't just end there. The height of corruption is so deep in the Nigerian system, in the political system right now, that even if you are watching videos or seeing how politicians are talking, you wonder that, is this really an elder? Me, I thought the older you be, the wiser you become. But I never knew that the fools also grow old these days, because you see a lot of them, the only way they talk and how they talk, it's so deeping and annoying. And I want you guys to watch this particular video on how they also interviewed this man and how this man defended the Senate president. We'll be right back.
The point we are trying to draw home here is that this is a complete falsehood. This is an attempt to discredit the Senate president. And this is not the first time. Just give me some time. This is not the first time this woman is doing this. This is a woman that have accused Ayabelo of sexual harassment. This is the same woman that have accused the... I'm coming. Allow me to flow.
Probably disprove.
Allow me to flow.
Okay.
This is the same woman that accused Reno Mokri, the former media aide to Jonathan, of sexual harassment. This is a woman I saw in a video yesterday accusing a minister of sexual harassment. Are you the only woman in Nigeria, Senator Natasha? What is wrong with you?
Ooh, your mic. But Senator Webber,
okay, 1 second.
This is madness. Senator Webber, just because
Nigerian women should rise against it. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Senator Natasha is spoiling game for Nigerian women trying to enter politics, because nobody will vote for a woman. No, I'm telling you.
Now, we're going to be drawing the curtain here, because there are a lot of videos on how this whole case played out, on how the Senate or the senators also raised a motion in the House. But I want you just to watch a brief of it before we draw the curtain today, and we'll be right back.
Earlier this morning, before our sitting, there was an uproar in the chamber over the change of seat. The first person that came to me about change of seat was Senator Samson Ekon, that he wanted a seat and that seat has been reallocated to somebody else. I said, be patient. I don't even know about this arrangement you are talking of. But before you know, sir, Senator Natasha shouted my name all over the place. I'm sure my name is in the media for negative reason today. My upbringing, I will not shout at any woman. So I didn't reply her. I kept quiet. But I want to say my privilege has been breached. And that shouldn't be in an assembly of this nature. We don't need to blackmail ourselves. And when she came into this place, we took her in like myself and Senator Jubril, we extended the hands of fellowship upon her. In fact, we lobbied you too much to ensure that the chairmanship that was vacated by Senator Ohere was given to her. We know what we did to achieve that. So when she shouted my name and said all those negative things this morning, I just thank God that I calmed down and I kept silent.
Like I said, there are a lot of videos, a lot of interviews regarding to this issue. But we might not be able to lay hands on all of them. Even if we do, we cannot just compress it in one video. But I want you guys to rub your mind in the comment section. What do you think about this whole case? Do you just think, okay, the Senate president should just forget about this? Do you just think, okay, oh no, it doesn't really matter, let's just forget. No matter, Senator Natasha arrest, even if as that, you will not get justice. What do you guys think? So this is where we're going to be ending the video today. Remember, we love you, but God loves you more. If you love us, the only way you can show your love to us is to like this video, comment your thoughts about this video. Above all, subscribe. If you do, turn on your notification bell so that you wouldn't miss out. Thank you very much for your love and support. Till we meet again. Peace out.